company store,
Wait a
which
second.
I was at.
That's a better credential than your flying or your what kind of scuba
This is
diving?
my favorite credential.
More than scuba diving?
Way more. Anyone can scuba dive, but not everyone can be called up by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They have the rocket scientists there, and they asked me to teach them. And then they said they didn't want me. The guy who hired me, he didn't want me to mention that I was a high school dropout. And I said, well, it's part of the class. It's part of the class. I have to, because otherwise people get really intimidated by the things that I do. And I want them to feel superior to me in some way, that they have something I don't have. They all have like PhDs and master's degrees and all that. And I don't have any of that stuff, so I want them to feel kind of like we're better than him. Because otherwise they feel really nervous when I come at them, because I come at them with these really hard problems that they have to solve. And if they do a bad job with it, or they feel they do a bad job, I want them to feel like, well, but I'm more educated than him, or something like that. So he said, no, really, don't say anything about it, because people feel weird about that right here. I'm like, well, I'm going to say it anyway. And he said, well, I'm the client, and I'm paying you, and I say don't do it. And I say, well, don't hire me then. So you go to my website, and you find out if you think I'm qualified, and if you think I'm qualified, you can hire me. If you think I'm not qualified to teach your people, then don't hire me. But that's part of the class. So he said, all right. And then I did. I got there, and I said, I want to go down. And they were all like happy and cool about it. They were completely wonderful people. It was a lot of fun. But I really wanted to teach there because I wanted to be able to say, I taught rocket scientists how to test software. And they kept saying, we're not rocket scientists, we're IT people. I said, shut up, you're rocket scientists. You work at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Jet Propulsion is right in your name. You are rocket scientists. That's what I'm going to tell everybody. And they said, no. And I said, shut up. So, but then I got this shirt. And so this is really the only thing I've taught at some really interesting places. But the Jet Propulsion Laboratory was a place like I always wanted to work there when I was a kid, because they work on the Mars probes and all the space stuff is all done there, and it's very exciting. So at least I got to touch that and talk to the people who were doing that kind of thing. Anyway, what's up? What's up with you? What's your name?
I'm Morgan.
Morgan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Morgan and Austin. Okay, well, so what are the things that you guys do here? You got projects, right?
Yeah. I'm doing, my main class is Global Connections. I made it up last year.
You made it up?
Well, I designed it last year.
Global Connections?
Yeah. It's a lot to do with like missionary work type of stuff, learning about we haven't learned that much about different cultures yet. I was thinking about that the other day, and I really want to start doing that. But right now I'm trying to set up a fair trade, get this village in Kampala fair trade certified for their orphanage, and learn how the whole fair trade system works.
Oh, really?
And that's being quite interesting. And I think I have another lady that I called last night that's going to be able to help me out with it. But I'm doing that whole thing, and then I've been helping some of the other people that are doing my class too, such as for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm also on Global Connections, but my project is human trafficking, and I'm trying to start sort of an
You want to improve human
No.
trafficking? Better humans in the traffic? Okay. Well, I'm just going to have this note. Morgan, human trafficking.
Human
Okay.
trafficker.
Human trafficking.
Oh.
So you are
It's not even jokeable.
global connections. Okay, so working on the human trafficking problem? Boy, you just don't start small, huh? You don't think starting small, like with hamster trafficking, working up to squirrels. So wow, that's a big thing to take on. How are you approaching that?
Well, I have a mentor who is also very involved with raising awareness of human trafficking and everything, and trying to get people just aware of the problem, and like she's counseled some victims of human trafficking and everything, so she's kind of worked in rehabilitation a little bit, so she knows a lot of stuff about it, and she goes to conferences and stuff. So she meets a lot of people and gets connected with people who like work in that area, like who have safe houses and everything. So I'm kind of talking to her about starting an awareness campaign here, so that people know about the problem and realize that it happens in Loveland and Fort Collins. It's not just like, in Africa or Cambodia, things like that.
But isn't there already like law enforcement and stuff? What can we do about it? Extra super police?
That would be nice. There's a lot of problems with legislation. Just prosecution for human traffickers isn't very effective, and it's difficult to actually prove that these people do what they do.
Oh.
Yeah, so
It's hard to prove that they do what they do?
yeah, kind of.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that goes with it. There's a lot of legal problems.
Is that the
and
angle that
there's-
you wanna help with? Maybe is to work
yeah,
on the problem.
I would like to get new legislation passed. There's a organization in Denver called the Polaris Project, and they work on changing legislation for Colorado. The main part that I'm concerned with is like these girls or children, these people who are trafficked for sex, like they don't get victims' rights. They end up being charged with like prostitution, like they chose to go into it, which they didn't. Like they were forced, but they still get charged with prostitution and have to go to jail, which I think is ridiculous. And
Well,
it
now,
shouldn't be happening.
how do you defend against that? I mean, how do you prove that somebody is not chosen to go into a life of crime?
That's the problem. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, you've certainly chosen an interesting, challenging problem. Wow. Okay, so you're shooting right for the top, going right for the life's work kind of thing. Wow, so that's certainly a very important problem. So you get fired up by really important worldwide global problems. Okay, wow, that's something. All right, so you're already in contact with someone who's helping you with that.
Yeah, this lady from Greece actually found our little innovation lab thing online, and she asked Miss Hardy to get me to contact her.
She just
So-
contacted you out of the blue?
Actually, Costa knew her.
Okay.
Costa. We've made so many connections, and Costa is one that we've connected with for digital equity. He's trying to get a satellite to put over Africa to get a global free Wi-Fi. Costa was going to speak at TEDx Athens, connected with Judy, and then so he knew that we were interested in that, so he actually made that connection.
All right.
Okay,
And
wow.
she has a couple of really, and then Judy connected us with someone in New Zealand who's even been more involved with human trafficking. That we haven't. I've emailed her once, but we haven't talked with her yet. So she's getting some really good connections. There's another guy in the lab that's doing human trafficking as well. So I think once they, start mixing their different angles of it, it's going to be pretty interesting.